All right, today we're going to break down two of the most essential tools in any designer's toolkit, personas and user journey maps. We're going to see how they help us turn piles of abstract research into real, human-centered design.
Okay, so picture this. You've done all the hard work, the interviews, the surveys, all of it. And now you're sitting on this mountain of data, which is great, but it's also kind of overwhelming, right? Where do you even start? What do you do with it all?
Well, this is where the magic really begins. The next step, the most important step, is to translate all those facts and figures into compelling human stories. Because those stories, they are the bridge from raw data to a product that people will actually want and love to use. So here's our game plan. First, we'll talk about why going from data to a story is so critical. Then we'll meet our user by creating personas. After that, we'll walk a mile in their shoes with user journeys. And finally, we'll put it all together and see how these two tools really sing.
So first up, why does this even matter? Why go to all the trouble? Well, because these stories and the tools that build them help us design products that people actually need. They help us create flows that make sense and build experiences that line up with what our users are trying to achieve. It's all about designing with empathy, not just assumptions. All right, let's reach into our toolkit and pull out our first tool, the persona. This is all about answering what is probably the single most important question in the entire design process. So, what is a persona? Think of it like a fictional character. But, and this is absolutely the most crucial part, this character is not just made up. It's built piece by piece from real research. It's a carefully crafted profile that gives a name, a face, and a story to a whole group of your users. It gives us a clear answer to who are we designing for.
And they're so powerful for a few key reasons. First, they totally humanize the data. You're no longer designing for a vague, generic user. You're designing for Iberanke, who you're about to meet. They also act like a North Star for your team, keeping everyone focused and aligned. And, maybe most importantly, they are your best defense against designer bias, that trap of just designing for yourself.
Now we have to make a really critical distinction here. What we're talking about is a research-based UX persona. It comes from real interviews, real observations about user goals and frustrations. You have to be careful not to confuse it with a marketing persona, which is more about demographics and buying habits. That's great for an ad campaign, but it's really the wrong tool for designing an actual experience. So, how do you make one? Well, it's a pretty clear process. You start with all that raw data you collected. Then you sift through it, looking for patterns, people with shared goals, similar frustrations. Once you have those groups, you build out a profile for each one. Give them a name, a face, a story. And that last step, validation, is so important to make sure your persona is based on reality, not just a stereotype. Okay, let's make this real. Meet Iberanke Aduni. Just listen to that quote. I want to own the biggest hair brand in Nigeria. Right away you get it. This isn't just a side gig for her. This is her ambition, her dream. That one sentence tells you so much about her drive. Now let's dig into her profile. Her goals are clear: build a trustworthy brand, make more sales. But the gold is in her frustrations. There's a trust gap with customers who insist on paying on delivery. And that single pain point points us directly to her needs. She needs something to bridge that trust gap and a professional online store to build her brand. See how it all just connects? Now let's meet our second persona, Emeka Paul. He's a brand designer selling footwear, and he's got that same fire. I want my brand to be worn by every man starting from Nigeria. You immediately get his vision. He's thinking big, with plans to go global. And when we look at Emeka's profile, we see a fascinating echo of Iberanke's problem. He also struggles with customer distrust around paying up front. But for him, there's another layer. Delivery logistics are a major headache. So his needs are similar, but with a twist. He needs to build trust, yes, but he also needs a practical solution for his delivery nightmares. So now we know who we're designing for. It's time to grab that second tool from our toolkit. Let's talk about user journey maps and see the world through their eyes. A user journey map is basically a story, a visualization of the entire experience a person goes through to get something done. Think of it like a little movie, showing every step, every click, every moment from their perspective. It's not just about what they do, it's about how they feel while they're doing it. And every journey map is built on these 4 core elements. First, you pick your persona. We'll stick with Iberanke. Then you define her goal. Let's say it's fulfilling a customer order.
From there, you map out the big phases of that process and list all the specific physical actions she takes at each stage.
But this is where the real empathy kicks in. This is where we start to map Ibaranki's internal monologue. What's she thinking? How's she feeling? Excited? Confused? Frustrated? Identifying those low points, those moments where she gets stuck, those are her pain points. And those pain points are exactly what show us where we have the biggest opportunities to improve things. Building the map is really just a step-by-step process of layering all this info. You start with the who and the what, map out the actions, then you dig deeper into the thoughts and feelings to find those critical pain points. And from those pain points, you'll find your best opportunities.
Okay, so we've got our two main tools. We have the persona and the user journey map. Now let's talk about how they combine to become something way more powerful than the sum of their parts.
And here it is. This is the big aha moment. It's actually really simple. The persona is the who. It tells you who you're designing for, giving you context and empathy. The user journey map is the how. It explains how that person experiences your product over time. One is a character, the other is the plot. You need both to tell the whole story.
And when you put the who and the how together, you get this incredible, actionable guide for your entire design process. It helps you decide what features to build, where to reduce friction, and crucially, it gets your whole team on the same page, all working toward a shared understanding of your user. So let's wrap this up. Just remember, personas are your research-based who. User journeys are the how, mapping the entire experience. They capture actions, thoughts, feelings, and, most importantly, pain points. And together, they are your guide to making smarter, better, more human design decisions. So, now you have the tools. You understand how to turn that mountain of data into a powerful story. The only real question left is, whose story are you going to tell first?
Like, share, and subscribe.